So I want to talk a little bit about this question 10 from quiz 2 in week 1. The original question asked you to negate a conditional statement, but then it had kind of this tricky part where we needed to negate a quantified statement, which we don't really cover until 12.6. But this is the part that I want to go over. So first of all, let me identify the pieces that are fine here, and then we'll identify the pieces that are giving people trouble. This is the first statement, the way I broke it down. P, there is an earthquake, and Q, all nurses are on call. Completely fine. The original statement, if there is an earthquake, then all nurses are on call. That's also fine. And the negation of that conditional should be P and not Q, right here. Okay, the place where we run into trouble, and this piece of the English translation of that, there is an earthquake and, is also fine. The place that is giving us trouble is in the second piece, and it's because of this quantifier here on Q. All nurses are on call. And when you start to look at section 12.6, which deals with quantified statements, you should see that the way that we negate them is kind of needs to be dealt with in a separate or special way. So this part of my solution didn't match any of the things that we're talking about, and this is where I went kind of off track. So I just need to talk about how to find the negation of Q. That's what I need to talk about, because that is the piece that is wrong, and that's the piece that comes after this and statement. So let's get another. All nurses are on call. This is my Q. All nurses and I want to just try and find the negation of Q. Now, this means, so in symbology, if you look at section 12.6, then we can look at this statement as something like this. We have this quantifier for all x, p of x. If p of x is this statement, let's say nurse X is on call. So this statement means for every X in my universal set, P of X is true. Okay, nurse X is on call. So for all X, nurse X is on call is the equivalent of this statement Q, all nurses are on call. Now, you also see in this section in 12.6 that the negation of this statement, the negation of for all X, P of X, is that there is some nurse, there is an X that does not meet this criteria. So in English, this statement, there is an X, so there is a nurse who is not on call. Okay, so this is this, let me identify these pieces. There is a nurse is here, and this who is not on call is this not P of X right here. Okay, so this is the way that we negate these quantified statements. All turns to this universal quantifier turns to an existential quantifier. And even if you just think about its meaning, in order for the statement everybody, all nurses are on call, the only thing that has to happen to negate that or to make that statement false is for one nurse to not be on call. That's all you need. So if you have 100 nurses, if 99 of them are on call and one of them is not, this whole statement Q is still false. Okay, and that's what we do in negations. Whatever the truth, like if Q is true, all nurses are on call, then the negation of that should actually be a statement that's false in the given circumstance. So this should be the next statement. And so if I go back and look, this final thing should be there is an earthquake and then I need to pair that with and there is a nurse who is not on call. There are different translations of this. Some nurses are not on call, things like that. But it should be some version of this. The opposite is definitely not no nurses are on call. That's not the negation of this. But so this first one should be replaced here by the statement that we just developed. So let's go back and look. There is a nurse who is not on call. There is an earthquake. And there is a nurse who is not on call. That's the negation of this original conditional statement. That if there is an earthquake, all nurses are on call. The negation of that whole thing is there's an earthquake, and guess what? There's actually somebody who's a nurse who's not on call. Okay, so let me know if you have questions about that.